Okay, we're going to do the first introduction from my new book, The Best Christian Art, and we're just going to start from the first page. I always put good stuff right as soon as you open the book, because most books, they suck. They bore you, they waste your time with like 10 filler pages before they get to anything good, which is presumptuous, to think that they can waste 10 pages of your time before you get to anything good. So I always put a painting right on the first page, the title page. And then I show a couple good things right at the beginning so the audience knows this is going to be something special, this book. It's going to be worth their time. It's going to be useful to them. Okay, so we're just going to do the introductory stuff up until the table of contents, which gives you the sense of the whole book. Okay, so it starts out with a painting of Don Quixote. And so Don Quixote was a little bit of a pathetic guy, written by Miguel Cervantes around 1600. And he was sort of trying to save the civilization of his time. He'd read all these books and he'd kind of get carried away, a bald old guy. Of course, I have nothing in common with him. And so, I love the guy. And I got a bunch of, I'm half Puerto Rican. All my Puerto Rican cousins, they love Don Quixote. Okay, they named the rum after him. They, perhaps the rum more than the book, but it's great stuff. Okay, so let's go to the next painting. Oh, yeah, and what did I write about it? Brief captions, This is the painting by Celestin Nantul. Like Don Quixote, this book is on a quest to save Western civilization, Christian civilization, building an ark to maintain the best of Christendom, the best painting, sculpture, music, movies, and novels. Someday when the sun shines again on freedom and the people can walk on solid ground, they can build on these past glories. G.K. Chesterton quote, "The way to love anything is to realize that it may be lost." And of course, here's the great Michelangelo painting. And the message here is that, man is created in the image of God. And if you remember that, then you honor man because he's part divine as well as part beast. And you realize that he deserves free speech, the right to privacy, the right to property, and all these other things. The life, liberty, and the Declaration of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as enshrined in the Declaration of Independence. And these things echoed and enshrined as well in the Constitution of the United States of America. Okay, so the painting, of course, is a creation of Adam by Michelangelo on the Sistine Chapel ceiling. And I can tell you, the only thing that could possibly save America, if America is going to be saved, in education, healthcare, freedom, etc., is a return to Bible ethics that values the human. Because right now we're stuck in atheistic Darwinism, which says that man is just a talking monkey. There's nothing special about him. He has no soul. He has nothing divine. And they're using that to smush him down into poverty and into slavery is the long-term goal of it. Okay, so this is the greatest painting of all time in Western civilization, of all time in the entire world. And the entire future of the world depends on this painting, how you look at it. And I studied a ton of history. I got a ton of friends and other people I know who lived under communism. I know exactly what it's like, okay? So I've read, besides reading and studying, I talked to all the personal accounts of it. And the only hope for the world is this, and hopefully people will realize that. Right now, it's looked like freedom is toast, okay? But there's always hope. So let's just hope for it and do our little part to try to hope that freedom will continue in the world. Okay, so it is Genesis 1:27. So God created man in his own image, in the image of God he created him, male and female he created them. Okay, Sister Wendy's quote, "Michelangelo's frescoes in the Sistine Chapel are the most sublime of all paintings, and the creation of Adam is the greatest of them." So I like Sister Wendy. She's nice, she's good, she's an art historian critic, and she does have some good quotes and points, and I like her, she's good. But okay, why do I not respect her? Because she wimped out. She sits there and talks about modern art like it's real. No, Sister Wendy, you're a wimp, okay, and you wimped out, you didn't do your job on that. But other than that, you did a lot of good things, so I still like you, but I like you, but I don't respect you the way I used to before you showed what a wimp you are. Okay, Johann Goethe, he says, "Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel frescoes are the greatest achievement ever in the history of art, and they show the known limit of what an artist can do." Yeah, the Sistine Chapel ceiling by Michelangelo is the greatest, most awesome artistic achievement ever in the history of the world. Michelangelo, typical super genius, really devout. "I believe that I have been designated for this work by God. I work out of love for God, and I put all my hope in him." Michelangelo. Yeah, he's awesome. And Isaac Newton would say the same thing. So did Bach, the greatest composer ever. Isaac Newton, the greatest scientist ever. Michelangelo, the greatest artist ever. And I also think the same way. Like, why did God make my life so boring? And I think it's because he wanted me to be a scholar and write books, okay? All that drama, it don't happen in my life. My life is like, pushes me towards sitting down and writing books. So that's what God wants me to do, as my mother told me, okay? I miss my old life with my girlfriends and sports, but this is where I'm destined. So okay, I already talked about that stuff. Okay, and here's a beautiful painting. This guy's really good. This is Murillo, Esteban Murillo. Okay, look at his faces. They're just so magnificent. So these are the two trinities, okay? There's the Holy Trinity of Jesus Christu, the Holy Spirit symbolized by a dove, and God the Father, okay? And then there's the earthly Trinity symbolized by, the Mother Mary, the Father Joseph, and Jesus Christu. Okay, so it's all beautiful and it's elegant, and Christianity, it celebrates life, it celebrates the family, it celebrates love and hope. It's the opposite of modern culture. Modern culture celebrates, abortion, it celebrates euthanasia. What do they got? The medical assistance in dying in Canada. They encourage, teenagers to commit suicide, disabled people, poor people, sad people, everybody, okay? That's modern culture of atheistic Darwinism. It's the culture of Malthusian, reduce the population numbers of the proles, okay? It's the opposite of Christianity, okay? And that's why they want to get rid of Christianity, because they know it doesn't see the world the way they do, okay? All right, now here's another painting. This is the painting of Esau, one brother talking to Jacob, the other brother, and Jacob was smart. Esau was kind of stupid, and Esau traded his birthright as the oldest son from the father, a very valuable thing, okay? So Esau the Edomite was a chump, okay? And that, to me, is the citizens of Western civilization. You come from the greatest culture ever in the history of mankind, and you're letting it be thrown into a garbage can because you're too intimidated all by this, modern psyop nonsense. All this pop culture stuff, it's a bunch of nonsense. And it's just being done as a way to gaslight and destroy modern civilization. Okay, there's movements afoot to try to ban the Bible and make Christianity illegal. Okay, I talked about that. It was Bill whatever. I gave a lecture about it recently. Is the Bible illegal? Okay. Christianity is the most welcoming, tolerant thing in the world. Okay, anybody can become a Christian. You just say, Jesus Christ is my Savior. I believe in Jesus Christ. Fine. Okay, you're a Christian. Whoop-de-doo. Anybody can do that. Religion comes from the word relegare, legare, to ligate, to tie together, to unite a people. Nothing else can unite people like Christianity because everybody's welcome. There's a place for everybody. It doesn't matter how stupid you are, how ugly you are. It doesn't matter how bad you've been in the past. Nothing matters. Anybody can do it. It's kind of like your dog. If you're nice to your dog likes you, and that's how Christianity is. All people are welcome and have a place and can do just fine in it. And like I said, too, I've seen cultures all over the world. Everybody loves Christian art and Christian songs. They're great, okay? And I like this aesthetic Christianity. I don't care so much about dogma. I think dogma is a big pain in the butt. Every different sect of Christianity thinks it's right and the other ones are wrong. I think that's a bunch of nonsense. I've read tons of Bible commentary, and I can tell you there are tons and tons of problems with mistranslations in the Bible and different interpretations for whatever the reason. And because of that, I don't think anybody owns correct doctrine at all. So we might as well, the obvious stuff doesn't change. Jesus Christu, love thy neighbor, forgive each other, be nice, get along with each other, great. Obey the Ten Commandments, all that stuff. That's pretty basic, okay? That doesn't change between any of them. But lots of other little things, they're just nonsense that drive you crazy. Here's a nice picture of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And my mother had a picture of this on the wall. And I saw, I've met many thousands of people in my life. The best person I ever met in my whole life was my mother. She was like a modern saint. And gosh, she was super religious. Always praying all the time. She's a minister of care. She didn't have to work in those days. She's a housewife. She had a master's degree in social work, University of Chicago. But she just went around doing good things for people all the time. And everybody knew it. She's like a saint. Mother's Day, there'd be like 100 people in her house just to kind of celebrate her. It was something to see. Okay, so the Sacred Heart of Jesus, beautiful here. It's by Pompeo Battoni. Okay, here's a couple of nice quotes. Does faith spring from miracles, or do miracles spring from faith? Yeah, the more people that believe in something, the more good things start happening. This is Fyodor Dostoevsky, the Russian Christian writer. He's sort of a Russian Orthodox Christian from the 1800s. He says, no one has been able to create a higher ideal of man and virtue than the ideal given by Christ. Even those who renounce Christianity and criticize it, in their innermost being, they still try to follow the Christian ideal. If they drive God from the earth, we shall shelter him underground. We shall shelter him underground. There is nothing more beautiful, more profound, more sympathetic, more reasonable, more courageous, and more perfect than Christ. And not only There not only isn't, but I tell myself with a jealous love, there cannot be. What is the use of Christ's words if we do not also set a good example? So that's Fyodor Dostoevsky. Okay, now here's a painting of the alternative. There's only two ways society is going to go. And right now, communism is winning. Okay, and it looks like communism is going to win because the big money wants it. Imagine that you're a billionaire. Okay, you look at the world and you say, look at it. There's like, what, 8.5 billion people? Look at all these stupid people. They pollute all the rivers. They pollute all the skies. They pollute all the ocean. They just cause such a destruction on the earth. This is how the billionaires think. I'm not kidding. You should know this. If you read around, this has all been around for many decades. They say to themselves, why is the earth so populated? If we could get the population down to 500 million, the earth would be so much a better place. Okay, fine. The way we can do it is all this woke stuff. First, we got to get rid of the Christians because they're the biggest obstacle to bringing back slavery and depopulation of the entire planet. So that's why Christians are persecuted first, because they see them as harder to control. They think all these people from countries with godless religions, they're very easy to control. They're corrupt, mentally weak. They figure they can control them easy. I'm just telling you how a communist thinks. I'm not talking about right or wrong. I'm telling you this is how they think. They think the biggest problem makers are the ones who, wrote the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution in the USA. So they want to get rid of them first. That's why they're totally scapegoated. If you've read Saul Alinsky, it's all basic stuff. Freeze the target, Caucasian male Christians, okay? And then scapegoat them, target them, bribe everyone else in the world to go against them. And once you've got them out of your way, your only partial opponent, the rest of the people, they're easy to control. They're a walk in the park. Look at all these puppets around that support all this stuff. So here's a typical example of Stalin in Russia in the 1900s. They basically burned down 48,000 churches. They killed 65 million Christians, okay? And they enslaved the people, all right? So here's a bunch of priests forced into slave labor, okay? And that's what's coming. And some people say, well, so what? I'm not a Christian. I don't care. I'll be okay. No, they think anybody who's not a Christian is stupid, and so they think you're easy to control. They're just going to take care of you a little later. They don't even think you're worth bothering with right now. But, this is, you can look up the Georgia Guidestones. This is well known. Okay, so anyways, one of the points in the whole book was, and there's not much text in the book. The book's mostly paintings. But what I'm showing people is, basically, it's going to go one way or the other. I'm not aware of any alternative. I mean, I don't see any other way it could go. Because either people are going to say, we want Bible-based ethic where man is created in the image of God and we respect the individual, or you don't. And if you don't, then what ends up happening is power controls everything. And in the modern world, power is really kind of almost a synonym for big money. Okay, big money can do whatever it wants. Big money doesn't have to follow the rules. Big money can destroy the food supply. Big money can pollute the sky. Big money can take your farmland away from you. Big money can do whatever it wants. Okay, just open up a book, okay? Big money doesn't respect the rules. It does whatever it wants. That's also why modern creative so-called culture is a joke. Look at Hollywood. It's a joke. Read what they do to children over there. It's unbelievably bad, all right? And literature has gotten so weak. When you move away from Christianity puts you in the correct state of mind to understand the human condition. We're all going to die. We're all alone. We're all just trying to get by. And the best way we could all get by is if we're as nice to each other as possible and give each other the benefit of the doubt, forgive each other for things, and just try to be nice. And unless we have that in our mind, and I can tell you, most of the world doesn't. Americans have been spoiled for a long time by having a relatively civil, nice culture. And that is rapidly fading away. And we're repeating the mistakes of history, and hopefully we'll wake up and not do that. But who knows where it's going to go. So anyways, that was just the intro of the book to show those paintings. The book is very little text, and it's not going to have all this opinions like what. I'm just spouting this stuff out now because I can't help talking about it when I'm talking. But I deliberately left it out of the book. I made the book non-denominational, and I didn't get into all this emotional stuff because I want the book to be an artistic book, not a philosophical book, because that way I think more people will see it. Of course, I'm going to make tons of movies and go through all these other things and go in more detail for the people who are interested in it. But anyways, that's the beginning of the book. The next page will be table of contents, and I'll just show you what it looks like, but we're not going to get into it too much. Oh, a couple quotes again. Dostoevsky, if God is dead, then everything is permitted, even cannibalism. That's true. We already are practicing cannibalism. I don't know if people realize that, but when you abort a baby and you make its body parts into different types of medications and people eat that, that's like cannibalism, okay? They're pressuring people now to use humans as compost. that's promoting cannibalism, okay? There's been a whole bunch of articles on that, and I hate to say it. With atheistic Darwinism, cannibalism is inevitable. And if you think that's not true, then you just haven't studied history, okay? Not to be mean, but that's like a Hollingsworth effect. People who don't study history, they think they know what they're talking about. You don't know communism unless you studied it, okay? And it's really bad, okay? Alexander Solzhenitsyn, author of Gulag Archipelago, the greatest Russian writer of the 1900s. He said atheism was at the core of the entire Soviet system. Atheism is what makes it possible. It seems more and more apparent that even with the most sophisticated of political maneuvers, the noose on the neck of mankind draws tighter, and there seems to be no way out for anyone. Okay, this is the greatest Russian literary genius of the 1900s, and that's what he says, and that's what I'm seeing too. For people smart enough to know what's going on and who read, and who have a read from a wide variety of places, is pretty obvious. Big money wants to lower the population numbers and is doing everything possible with the food supply, through other mechanisms, culturally, through the school system, you name it, to reduce the population numbers. And they want to get rid of the Christians first. Okay, atheism gets the scientists and the puppets to go for the money. So one of the reasons why you look around, you see puppet after puppet in charge of a city, in charge of all kinds of things, is because they're easy to control. Like I said, they don't want smart people with good Christian morals running places because they're not going to want to go for all this stuff. Whereas you can get low IQ puppet chumps to do anything. Okay, like look what they're doing to children now. They call it gender affirming care. They're castrating children. Okay, that's not in the children's best interest. Children aren't old enough to make these decisions about such a big thing in their life. Okay, Christianity gets the scientist, the scholar, the ruler, the local manager, whatever, to go for service of God and to try to act in the best interest of the other person, not just their own pocketbook for money, for truth, love, honor, curiosity, and to understand God's creation. And we're either going to be united by God or we're going to be divided by Satan. That's a fact, okay? And that's just reality. And I hope enough people realize that, and there might be hope for us. Okay, here's the table of contents of the book, and we're going to start going into this next time. But I'm going to start out with the ancient, bore word, just a little bit of funny intro. Ancient Greeks, because Christianity really arose out of the ancient Greeks. Yeah, the Old Testament too, but it's much more out of the ancient Greeks than is widely recognized. The Old Testament, the ancient Romans, then we'll go through the life of Christ, all the stuff about that. Then the Middle Ages, chivalry. Then we'll do the Reformation, Counter-Reformation stuff, Founding Fathers, Victorian Renaissance. That's not widely known, but it was a magnificent century, the 1800s, for creativity and art. A little bit on architecture, science, some Irish art, just because I'm fun. I'm half Irish, half Puerto Rican, so I love the Irish art. And the way it works in my experience, my Puerto Rican family and relatives are way smarter than my Irish relatives. My Irish relatives, what I like about Irish and my Irish family and friends is they're much more bookish. They love talking about books, the scholars amongst them. They say Irish are either drinkers or thinkers, and so they're good for that. Miscellaneous topics, literature, Christian literature. The best novels ever written are all from Christian culture. Okay, the best movies and then the best Christian music. There's a big section on Christian music. I put it at the end so people can flip to the end real quick and find all that stuff. Okay, well that's it for this video. Hope that was helpful and interesting.